Championship enters the second half of the series as the riders welcome the sand conditions. We are here for round 7 of the Yamaha Australian Enduro Championships presented by MX Store at Casterton. And I can tell you what, we have had some crazy weather leading into this one. The rains have fallen, however, we are blessed with the sands, the black sands of Casterton, and I know the riders are excited to get this one underway. Will this be the round that sets the tone for the rest of the championship? We saw it in 2025. Can anyone break the streak of Will Ruprecht? We will find out shortly. The return to Casterton delivered the sandy conditions riders had been waiting for. Recent rain had soaked into the surface, but as the race wore on, the track quickly became rough, rutted and physically demanding. In Pro Enduro, the battle was alive from the opening turn, with Will Ruprecht and Corey McMahon launching side by side and immediately setting the tone for one of the best outright fights of the season. McMahon controlled the early stages before Ruprecht struck back at the end of lap 1. From there, the lead changed hands multiple times as the pair traded momentum across the 3-hour cross-country. Behind them, Kogan Locke settled into a strong position early, while Lyndon Snodgrass had work to do after completing the opening lap in 5th. Snodgrass began moving forwards as the race unfolded, eventually passing Locke on lap 3 and putting himself into podium contention. At the front, Ruprecht's race almost unravelled after contact with the lapped rider damaged his rear sprocket and brake disc. McMahon closed back in, and with the pit stops becoming crucial, every second started to matter. Snodgrass, meanwhile, lost valuable time after receiving a pit infringement penalty. The final lap produced one last twist, with McMahon briefly reclaiming the lead before a mistake allowed Ruprecht to respond. From there, Ruprecht controlled the run home to take another outright victory and continue his unbeaten run in 2026.
Yep, sand being my Achilles heel, I had a lot of questions to answer today and I answered them. Shout out to the Shop Yamaha off-road team. They put a bike under me that was really competitive today and probably the best bike on track from what I saw. I had a game plan, I executed it almost to perfection. It was a tough race, there was mud holes, which played a huge part. It was kind of rewarding if you wanted to risk it. I elected not to for most of the race. And we had the lead change like 6 times because of that. So yeah, super stoked to tick this box. It was kind of the last thing in my career that I felt really weak in the sand. So I've answered the questions.
McMahon finished second after one of his strongest rides of the season, while Snodgrass completed the podium in 3rd. Drama arrived almost immediately in E1. Cooper Shido and Jeremy Carpentier both had issues just metres after the start, dropping them back before the opening turns had even settled. That opened the door for Luke Chellis and Stefan Grunquist to establish themselves near the front early. Maximus Purvis also had problems on the opening lap after colliding with a kangaroo, leaving himself with major recovery right ahead. Shido responded quickly. By the end of lap 1, he had already charged back into the E1 lead and was climbing through the outright order. At the front, Shido proved too strong, taking another important E1 victory.
Yeah, she was pretty hectic, got a really good jump about a metre out and then I stalled it. So went from in a good position to dead last into the first corner. So just tried to be super patient on lap 1. I've had a hard time with cross countries going hard on lap 1 and going down or bending something and ruining the race. So I just tried to be super patient and I don't even know where I come around the second lap, but just kept picking them off, and then about the 3rd lap I got a bit of clean air and just settled into my own pace, and unfortunately the front boys had left me by then, so I just stuck with a good pace that I thought that was good enough and left a little bit in tank just in case. And yeah, pretty stoked to come home 5th outright and 1st in class, and body feels good, been working super hard, so happy to finally start putting the pieces together.
Purvis completed a strong comeback to finish 2nd, with Carpentier 3rd after a tough but valuable recovery ride. Chellis delivered one of his strongest performances of the season, holding a top 5 position for much of the race, while Jackson Verstegen also recovered well to finish close behind Granquist. In E2, Ruprecht once again set the benchmark. The major storyline behind him was Jai Dixon. After showing early speed in the conditions that should have suited him, Dixon made a mistake, suffering in the injury on lap 2. He battled for 2 more laps before eventually being forced to retire. Behind Ruprecht, the fight for the remaining podium places was far more active. Snodgrass had to work his way through the traffic after a difficult start, while Locke stayed near the front and remained firmly in the podium battle. Liam Mason, Will McInnes and Jacob Sweet also traded positions through the middle stages, creating a tight fight behind the lead group. But Ruprecht remained out front to take the E2 victory. Snodgrass finished second after a charge forward, while Locke completed the class podium in third. In E3, McMahon's outright pace carried him to another commanding class win.
Round 7 here at Casterton. First cross country for the year, and man, it was a tough one. We've had a lot of rain around here lately, and caused a lot of bog holes. But yeah, it's been a while since I've ridden in conditions like that, and it was really tricky to find our way through every lap for 3 hours. And yeah, happy with my riding. Pushed all the way to the end and got into the lead on the last lap, and just had to sort of ride it home. Really, the track position was very crucial out there today, and ran out of roll-offs just as I went past and threw her down, and unfortunately that was all she wrote for today. And P2 outright, first in class, it's nothing to complain about, but yeah, it's definitely not where we want to be.
Behind him, Max Midwinter produced one of his strongest rides of the season. Max Midwinter finished second and Debris secured third after holding off Mentha in the closing stages. In EW, Rachel Archer made an immediate impact in her return to the Australian Enduro Championships. Returning to racing after 2 years, Archer launched well and led the opening lap, showing she has lost none of her speed during her time away from competition. Jessica Gardner had work to do early after finding herself buried in fourth, but the championship leader quickly moved forward and took control of the class by the end of lap 1. Gardner built an advantage through the middle stages, with Archer staying within reach and Madison Healy holding a strong position inside the top 3. Emily Grandquist also featured as the field worked through the rough and deepening sand. Maddie Simpson endured one of the toughest starts of the day after crashing in a muddy bog hole on the opening lap. Forced to ride much of the lap without gloves, she fought through painful blisters across the 3-hour race and still managed to recover to 5th. At the front, Archer mounted one final charge late in the race. It was a memorable return, with Archer taking victory ahead of Gardner, while Healy completed the podium in third.
Yeah, good. Pulled the whole shot, and then about a K in, the tape was down and I overshot a turn. So I quickly spun around and had to pass a few people back to get the lead, back in the lead, and then I went down behind someone else that had crashed in a rut, and I just laid the bike over, but it broke my front brake off. So I rode the rest of the lap with no front brake, pulled in on the end of the first lap and got a new brake lever and some fuel, and then sprinted and caught back up to Jess and sort of rode with her for a bit and made a pass on the last lap, and yeah, took the win. So stoked. This is my first race back after having a baby, so 9 weeks postpartum, and yeah, I felt really good, so yeah.
In EJ, the demanding Casterton conditions created one of the most unpredictable races of the day. Several championship contenders struck trouble, with Marcus Nolan, Kai Austin and Bo Tripconi all failing to reach the finish. With major points lost, the championship picture took another twist. Bjorn Cardenas made the most of the opportunity. He positioned himself near the front early, settled into the race and controlled the class from there. On a day where mistakes were costly, Cardenas delivered a composed ride to claim his first EJ victory of the season.
Definitely brutal, that's for sure. Sort of was out the front early and could keep putting in my time. Yeah, it was all pretty well under control most of the time. Lost my visor in the first lap, but it's all pretty good.
Oscar Harris also made the most of the difficult conditions, riding smart and consistent to secure second. Phillips held on to take third, with Rossi close behind after a battle that could have easily gone either way. The cross country definitely brought in some new battles, but the riders will have to back it all up again tomorrow in the sprints on a very beaten down track. A new skill set is definitely needed. Sunday's sprint format gave Casterton a completely different feel. After the previous day's cross-country, the sand was already rough, rutted and broken down, leaving the riders little margin for error across the shorter tests. The Pro Enduro fight started with Corey McMahon making an immediate statement, topping the opening test by 7 seconds. He looked set to repeat it in Test 2 before a heavy crash in the final turn cost him the test win and valuable time. Maximus Purvis was the standout in Test 2, taking the fastest time and putting himself right into the outright podium fight. McMahon responded in the next 3 tests, rebuilding his lead, but behind him, the race was wide open. Purvis, Will Ruprecht and Lyndon Snodgrass were locked together, with only 3 seconds separating second through fourth at the halfway point. It all came down to the final test. McMahon had enough of a buffer to manage the risk, while riders behind him had to attack. Ruprecht's Hogue's 4-second outright ended with a late crash. Purvis was near faultless, but Snodgrass produced one final charge to steal second by 18/100ths of a second. McMahon kept it clean to claim the Round 8 Pro Enduro victory, backing up his Casterton success from 2025.
Round 8 here at Casterton was awesome for me, my first outright for the year, and right where I want to be. Did a little bit of disappointment yesterday, not missing out on that win there, and yeah, backed it up today and put my best foot forward early, and a couple of mistakes throughout the day, but we managed to clean them up, which I was really happy with. And yeah, shout out to the team. They done awesome all weekend. The bike was awesome, and in some really challenging conditions. It was yeah, very tough on the bikes out there this weekend, and yeah, my KTM 500 EXC was unbelievable.
Snodgrass finished second after the brilliant late push, with Purvis third after one of his strongest rides of the year. The E1 battle opened with Jeremy Carpentier striking first, topping the opening test ahead of Purvis and Cooper Shido. Purvis answered in Test 2 and quickly began to build momentum. Across the next few tests, he stretched away at the front of the class while also pushing deep into the outright Pro Enduro battle. Behind him, Shido increased his pace and began applying pressure to Carpentier, before Carpentier's day came undone in Test 5 with a bike failure. That opened the door for Luke Chellis and Stefan Granquist to fight for the final podium position, with Granquist building speed at the right time. At the front, Purvis remained in control. He took a commanding E1 victory and finished third outright.
Today was pretty good and felt good. The track, had to learn the track a little bit at the start, but got a feel for it and yeah, got some good laps, and yeah, finally good to actually get some good positions and get a good finish for the day. But looking forward to the next rounds and yeah, see how we get on.
While Shido secured second, Granquist claimed third after a strong day in the Casterton sand. Across E2, Will Ruprecht started strongly by topping the opening test, but this was never a simple runaway. Lyndon Snodgrass was just 2.1 seconds behind after Test 1, and from there, the pair traded times all day. After 5 tests, only 0.4 of a second separated them. Behind the lead fight, Cogan Locke, Chandler Burns and Jai Dixon all pushed into podium contention. Burns pressed on debut, while Dixon carefully built his pace after injuring his knee in round 7. By Test 6, the front of E2 had tightened even further, with Ruprecht, Snodgrass, Dixon and Burns covered by less than a second. Ruprecht opened a small buffer entering the final test, but with less than 500 metres remaining, he was caught by a large acceleration bump and sent into a heavy high-side crash. He remounted quickly, but the time lost changed the results. Snodgrass took the E2 win and jumped to second outright in Pro Enduro.
Yeah, today was great. A little rusty to start with, to be honest. Haven't done sprints in a while, so I was just trying to get a decent flow going. But yeah, I was able to kind of keep improving, and then I kept kind of close throughout the day. And then yeah, in the last one, I kind of put it all together and centered a little bit, and it paid off. I was able to yeah, take home the E2 win today, and yeah, second overall. So pretty pumped with that.
Ruprecht salvaged second in class, while Burns completed an impressive Oz Enduro debut with third. For the E3 riders, McMahon once again set the benchmark. He was fastest in class across every run and never looked likely to lose control of the category. Max Midwinter settled into second early and went on to finish 7th in Pro Enduro, while Max Rickus delivered a consistent day to secure the final podium position. McMahon took another dominant E3 victory. Midwinter finished second and Rickus completed the podium in third. The women's class again centred around Rachel Archer and Jessica Gardner. After the round 7 victory, Archer carried that speed into Sunday, topping the opening 2 tests before a crash in a bog hole during test 3 allowed Gardner to close the gap. Gardner made the most of the mistake and turned the fight for the lead into a much tighter contest. After 5 tests, she was just 6.5 seconds behind Archer. Archer regrouped quickly and returned to the top of the timesheets, keeping Gardner under pressure through the final stages. Behind them, Maddie Simpson produced a tough and determined ride after a difficult round 7. She claimed the fastest time in test 3 and stayed firmly in the podium battle. Gardner clawed back one more time late, but Archer stayed composed to take another victory and complete a perfect return weekend.
Yeah, just tried to ride smooth. The track got really rough towards the end, so I was just trying to hang on and pick good lines. Yeah, I had a bit of a crash in test 3, I think it was, in one of the mud holes. I tried to jump in and ghosted my bike basically and landed on top of it, so I lost a bit of time there and then was just trying to play catch up all day. But the other girls rode really well and yeah, I was happy to take a win today.
Gardner finished second, while Simpson claimed third after a strong recovery ride. EJ once again delivered close and unpredictable racing, with Kai Austin striking first in the opening test. Bjorn Cardenas quickly moved into the fight, carrying momentum from his round 7 win and building another strong challenge for the victory. Liam Egan was also impressive in the sand, using speed and consistency to stay inside the top 3 as the day unfolded. Marcus Nolan showed pace but lost time with mistakes. While Jackson Rossi and Oscar Harris both produced strong late test performances to keep in the podium fight. Austin pushed again in the closing stages, but at the front, Cardenas was too strong. After claiming his first EJ win of the season on Saturday, Cardenas backed it up with another victory in round 8, completing a standout Casterton weekend.
Pretty good. Dropped it in the first test, which cost me a bit of time, but the rest of the day I felt I could push pretty consistent all day, which was good. Get back into some hard pack, rocky stuff and yeah, see what we can do.
Austin finished second, while Egan secured third after an impressive and consistent day in the sand. Ruprecht's streak has been broken. Corey McMahon, too strong here today at round 8 at Casterton. Absolutely dominant in the sand. Even a small off couldn't stop the guy today. That shift in momentum certainly has gone in the right direction for him. That's it here from Casterton. We next travel to Kempsey, New South Wales on August 8 and 9. Be sure to join us then. Keep up to date with everything on our socials. We'll catch you next time.